Our scriptures are from the Psalms today. What an imagination, an appreciation for God's wonder we find in the Psalms. Here is Psalm 8. O Lord, our sovereign, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouths of babes and infants you have founded a bulwark because of your foes, to silence the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what are human beings, that you are mindful of them, mortals, that you care for them? Yet you made them a little lower than God, crowned them with glory and honor. You've given them dominion over the works of your hands, and have put all things under their feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field and the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. O Lord, our sovereign, how majestic is your name in all the earth. And then these 6 verses, the first 6 verses of Psalm 19, which I keep hearing sung because these are set to music. It's Haydn or Handel. It's Haydn's creation. Okay. Very different time periods. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims God's handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There's no speech, nor are there words, yet their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the earth. In the heavens, God has sent a tent. Remember the dome? God has sent a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom from his wedding canopy, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them, and nothing is hid from its heat. All right. There are literally thousands upon thousands of things to discover in the 3 pictures available so far from the Webb telescope. Humans have been gazing at the night sky in wonder since we first started walking on 2 legs tens of thousands of years ago. Cultures created stories to explain what was up there. The ancient Israelites shared a cosmological view with other cultures and religions, that the earth was flat, the stars were next as the firmament that held the sun and moon. A dome over this kept the waters of what? Chaos from raining down destruction. The first telescope peered into what we call space in 1608, and it was invented and developed in the Netherlands. It wasn't Galileo first. Imagine what those first space explorers would think of the images we have today from the deep field of space. Wow! This is the very first image of a deep field of space from the Webb telescope. The image is approximately, they say, the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length, a tiny sliver of the vast universe. And look how crowded it is. It looks pretty full. There are some distant galaxies in this image, including some seen when the universe was less than 1 billion years old. This image is a composite of multiple images, which took 12.5 hours to collect. Clearly, doing this job requires some patience. I mean, it took over 20 years to get this thing up into space. This image shows a galaxy cluster as it appeared 4.6 billion years ago. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those galaxy clusters. And there are many more galaxies in front of and behind the cluster. That's good news. Good news, the universe is resilient. 4.6 billion years, and in cosmic terms, that's not that long ago. This image is named Cosmic Cliff. The edge of gigantic gaseous cavity with a young star-forming region in the Carina Nebula, 7,600 light years away. Much closer. They're practically our next-door neighbors. This region was first cataloged by James Dunlop in 1826. Now, wouldn't Mr. Dunlop be, astounded and struck in wonder at this image? People, this is an image of star formation. That should just blow our minds. This next slide is called Stephan's Quintet. And I'll get a close-up in a minute. It's hard to count all 5 of them, but there are actually 5 galaxies in this. 4 of them are about 290 million light years away, and the 5th is closer at 40 million. The image reveals how interacting galaxies trigger star formation in each other, like light impacting light. Isn't that amazing? And how the gas in these galaxies is being disturbed. So I zoomed in so we could see this a little more distinctly. Do you see that? That's like they're dancing together. I know that's not what's happening exactly, but it's sort of a cosmic dance. And back to our own Milky Way. How many of you have ever seen the Milky Way? You seen the Milky Way? Yeah. There are still places on our planet where you can see the Milky Way. Our own galaxy, our own home. I take it for granted that I've been fortunate to observe the Milky Way many times, every year in fact, out in the desert, we go camping or up in the mountains. We were backpacking with a group from church a number of years ago, about 10,000 feet high, gazing at the night sky this evening. One of the group asked me, "Is that the Milky Way?" "Uh-huh, yeah, it is," I replied. And the gasp of awe and wonder was followed by, "I've never seen that before." And to be witness to this moment of discovery and wonder and awe, boy, if I don't do anything else in my life, that was worth it. Oh, making possible moments of wonder is wonderful. I think that's part of our job as people of faith, is to call attention to the wonder in the world. The heavens are telling the glory of God. The firmament proclaims God's handiwork, not with words, and yet their voice still goes out. For some people, these images are proof of God. And for some people, the images simply reveal more about the universe. I don't think the images prove God because, well, I don't think we can prove God, to prove that God exists. Do I believe that God exists? Well, yeah, I do, but I don't know that you can actually prove it. What the images reveal, I think, and what all the scientists think, is how much we do not know. They reveal the mystery. Every astronomer I've heard interviewed has said, well, we're going to have to rewrite the textbooks. This is going to rewrite astrophysics and astronomy, and there's still more to come. And they say this not with, oh, we have to rewrite the textbook. They're excited about it. They're looking forward to it. And in other words, what we thought isn't exactly how things work. We're learning, and that's something to be excited about. We have a hard time, most people do, with changing our minds about things, even when we get new information. Yes, even me. Wait a second. It can take a while before I can get convinced. Even the information says, no, it's this way. But these scientists, instead of dragging their feet, they're excited about these discoveries and the discoveries yet to be made, the things to unlearn. They're filled with wonder. Wonder is a spiritual practice. Nurturing it, making space to engage in it, that's a spiritual practice. Wonder is expressed in many, many of the Psalms, including the ones I read today. And I encourage you later this week, or maybe even every day, is just pick up Psalm 8 and Psalm 19 and just read them once each day and wonder. The English scientist Rupert Sheldrake was asked what single change he would recommend for the new millennium that could make a difference to the world. His reply was that every tourist should become a pilgrim. That's really reframing travel. Mike recently watched this documentary on how tourism is killing our planet. I don't know, he watches some pretty stuff. But he was telling me about this one bit, that in asking travelers, would you go to this destination if you couldn't take a selfie? And a little over half of them said, nah, probably not. Probably not. Now, it's easy for me to jump into judgment on that, but let's remember, it's not a new phenomenon. The days of people setting up the slide projector to look at their vacation to wherever, and the albums we pull out to show each other, look at where I've been. Travel has always, in part, been performative. So what would be different if we were instead pilgrims? How would that shift our experience, and what would shift in us? Most of the pictures my father-in-law Mel took did not have people in them. I don't ever remember seeing one that had a person in it, which frustrated his wife. But he was curious about his surroundings. He was in awe of these vistas while backpacking and camping, and wanted to retain a memory of that in him and the memory of what it did to him internally. The invitation to be a pilgrim is an invitation to wonder. It shifts our focus on getting what I want out of our trip, which is something I'm definitely guilty of. It shifts us to discovering what's different. What's different about me in this place? What's different about the people in this place? About the place itself? What causes me to ponder and reflect? What makes me uncomfortable? Because there might be a growing edge there for me. Pilgrimage is not a posh pastime. It's an invitation to step into mystery. Our life mystery that is life. For those of us who follow Jesus, it is a pilgrimage into the mystery of God's presence in us, around us, between us. The reverberation of the holy between every one of us. It's a pilgrimage toward the heartbeat of compassion that pulses throughout the firmament, the terra firma and the clay of our own hearts that are animated by the Spirit of God. Who are we that God has made us a little lower than the angels, says one translation? Who are we that God has given us the care of this little speck in the Milky Way galaxy, in the vast universe, this little speck we call Earth, that we call home? Yet, God has crowned us with glory and honor. The glory and the honor are not entitlements, as some people of faith and outside the faith would treat them. They are not entitlements. They are signs that we are actually living our responsibility to be reverent of God, of ourselves, of other people, of all of life, to be reverent for it all, to hold it all in reverence. Jesus walked in wonder. People saw him working wonders. Didn't he work wonders? He taught wonderful things. The meek shall inherit the earth. Blessed are you who mourn. He invites every one of us to step ever more deeply into this living mystery that is God, reverberating throughout the universe and in us, that we may sing of its glory, its compassion, its life. Amen.